So in this video, we are going to start styling our 3-column section. And like I said, this header is going to be on top of our container. It's going to be on top of our 3-column section. So let's just get started quickly. So underneath your header, we're going to create a div class of container. And as always, inside of our container, we have our row. So we'll say div class of row. And inside of our row, we are going to have our column. Say div class of column. And this is going to be column 4. And I'm going to talk about this later. And inside this column, we are going to be having a box. So our 3-column section, they are going to be a box. It's going to be boxes, 3 boxes. So I'm just going to say div class of box. So div class of box. So they are going to be boxes. So as for this column 4, inside of our row, now if we go back to our CSS here, for our default styles, let's go over to our default styles. If you can remember, for our column 4 now, in our column 4, we are giving it a width of 33.33%. And if you can remember, for our column 6, we gave it a width of 50%. Now let's go back to our web page. For our first column, we gave it a width of 50%, which is this column here. You can see this column, it takes the width of 50%, and this image column also take a width of 50%. So that combined gave it a width of 100%. Now as for this one, we are giving it a width for the column 4. We are giving it a width of 33.33% because this is going to be a 3-column section. One of the column is going to take 33.33%. The second column is going to take 33.33%, and the third column is also going to take 33.33%, which will make it take the whole width of the screen perfectly, just like 100%. So now let's just start styling this. So inside of this box, we are going to have content inside of this box. Okay. Now first of all, inside of this content, we are going to have an image. Going to have an image, so img, then source. Now make sure you have an image. As you can see here, I have this image called img, called image-logo.jpg. so make sure you have an image, and the image is very small. I resized it. It was a very large image, but I resized it to a very small image now. So make sure the image is small, so the browser, because when you have large files, large image, sometimes the browser will delay when trying to load your web page. Okay, so make sure the image is small because this is going to be acting like a logo. Okay, so I'll say I'm going to insert the image after our source. First of all, let's just remove this image. I'm going to put it back. This image, it's always a good practice to put element inside of a div. We have talked about this. So we are going to create an empty div, and this div is going to contain the image. So it's always a good practice to use a div. So create an empty div. So img source, then img logo jpg. So now underneath this image, we are going to add a label element. See its label, and we are just going inside this label. We are just going to say chat with us. Now this label here is just acting like a header. It will just go right underneath our image. Okay, it's acting like a header here after this image. Now you might be asking yourself, why didn't we put the label inside of the div? But don't worry about that. In the future, you can just maybe hit enter, and then you can contain it inside of a div. It's very easy, but we are not going to be doing that. Okay, we are going to be leaving the image inside of the div. We are going to be only putting the image inside of the div, but we are going to put the label outside of the div. And after this label, we are going to have a paragraph underneath the label. So the image, we have an image on that. We have an image on top of the label, and then after the label, we are going to have a paragraph. So this paragraph, I'm just going to add a dummy text. Now you can add any text, but I'm just going to add any text here. And it's a dummy text. Now you can follow me if you want to do this. So you just simply say lorem. This is a dummy text. Now any number you put here is the number of text it's going to give to you. So after your lorem, and I'm going to say lorem 20, and then you hit enter. And then let me toggle this so you can see it properly. And then now this is our text. Okay, so we have our image, which is inside of a div, and after the image we have a label. After the label we have our paragraph, so they will stack upon each other. Okay, so if we refresh this on our web page, remember they are inside of a box. We refresh now. Let's go down here, refresh. So this is our label, this is the label, and you can see the image on top of it, and this is our text, our paragraph. So I think I just need to add a little paragraph here. So inside the paragraph you can just hit the lorem again. You say lorem, and I'm going to add lorem 7. So add more text to it. Sorry, I made a mistake there. I'm going to add a lorem here. I'll say lorem 7. Then I've added a little text to it. So let's refresh this. That's okay now. So let's start styling our box. Let's style this box now. Let's give it a styling. So go back here inside of our, let's go to our custom styles. Inside of our custom styles we say div, and then we'll get our class, which is .box. Then let's style this now. Now for this box we are going to give it a box shadow. I know we haven't talked about this before, but the property is box shadow. Now I'll explain this. Let me just say box shadow 0, 0, 3 pixels and 1 pixel. Now as for this perimeter, when specifying a box shadow, the first perimeter, which is 0, is for the horizontal length for the box shadow, and the second perimeter is for the vertical length of the box shadow. If you want the box shadow horizontally, or if you want the box shadow vertically, and in this case we don't want any box shadow horizontally and we don't want it vertically, so that's why it's specified 0 and 0. And as for the third perimeter, which is 3 pixels, this is for the blur effect, the blur effect of the box shadow all around. And we are saying add 3 pixels of box shadow all around of our box, 3 pixels. Okay, so we are saying it should add 3 pixels of the blur effect. And as for this fourth perimeter, which I specified 1 pixel, now this is for the spread radius. Now what this spread radius is doing, it will just add a line across the board. It will just add a line all around the box, somewhat like a border to the box. So that's what this fourth perimeter is doing. Is just a spread radius to just add a line to the box. So if we refresh this on our web page now, refresh, now you can see the blur effect all around it, and you can also see the line all around it. So that's what the box shadow does. Okay, now what we need to do next here, we need to style our label. We need to style our label here because we need to make it bold. Let's go here, inside here on the top here, we need to style the label. We are going to style the label for our default styles, because we are going to have 3 columns and it's going to be lots of label. So we'll go down here, inside of our default styles, say label. We are going to give this a font. Since we want that bold, we're going to give it a font size of 35 pixels. Font size of 35 pixels. And we are going to give it, let's refresh this and see how it looks first. Refresh. You can see our label now is a little bit big. You can see, but I want it bold, so we are going to be using the font weight property. So after the font size, we say font weight, and we are going to give this, and you can see there are lots of properties which you can use. You can see bold, light, normal, and all that, but I'm going to use a font weight of 600. Now this will make it a little bit bold. If we refresh this, now you can see the label now is now bold. So what we need to work with now is the paragraph. We need to work with this paragraph. We need to make this paragraph a little bold, more bigger than this, the way it is. So we'll still do that inside of our default style, because all our paragraph inside of our web page will be inheriting this style. So we say P, which is the paragraph. Now for our paragraph, we want to give it a font size as well. We're going to give our paragraph a font size of 17 pixels. And let's see how it looks first. It's looking good. This is looking good. Font size of 17 pixels. And we're also going to give it, you know what, let's increase that font size. Let's increase it to font size of 20 pixels and see how it looks. Font size of 20 pixels. Now I think this is good. The font size of 20 pixels. So now let's give it a line height. I'm going to give it a line height of 1.2. As simple as that. Now if you can remember, in our default styles, we gave the body, let's go up here. You can see we gave the body a line height of 1 here. A line height of 1. Now we are overwriting it. We are overwriting it now with a line height of, we are just adding a little line height here to our paragraph. A line height of 1.2 for our paragraph. So we are just adding a little to it, okay? So let's refresh this and see how it looks. Refresh. And this is looking good. So what we need to do next here is we need to align our text inside of this box to the center. We need to align it to the center. So how to do that? Let's go down here to our custom styles, of course. So inside of our box, where we specify the box shadow, inside of our box we say text align of center. Now what this text align of center will do is it will look at our box, and it will check our box, and it will align every text that is inside of our box to the center. It will look at the text element inside of our box, and it will align them on the center of the box. Okay, in the center of the box. So if we refresh now, refresh. And wow, you can see it didn't only align the text inside of the box, it also aligned our image. You can see here it also aligned the image to the center of the box. You can see it. Wow, this is really looking good. The image is also in the center of the box. So wow, that is really good. So we have aligned that now to the center of our web page. Yeah, so the next thing we need to do, we need to be adding more of our, as we have added here, this is a 33.33% width of the screen. So this is the column of 33.33. We are also going to be adding another column here, and we will also add the last one here. So it's going to be 3 boxes here. Okay, so that will be it for this video. In the next video, we are going to be adding the remaining boxes on our web page. Okay, so that will be it for this video. I will see you guys in the next